Good morning, Gloucester. It's GloucesterCast 336. We have one of our favorite people back.
Hooray.
Fresh back from Atlanta. Ralph and Chris are both raising their hands and saying you're welcome.
Came back, didn't we?
Yeah, no shit.
You're on hiatus.
Got
No.
back from Middleton.
Yeah, but you don't bring Queenamons.
Queenamons.
What'd you call me?
What?
Okay, Joe. So, Joe, I take it that you like the Queenamons much more than my stuffed peppers. But that's okay, because I will put them back on the shelf.
No, your stuffed peppers are the
I
best thing.
want to try 'em.
Ralph's
What was
I'll
that, Joe?
trade you for
I
something.
didn't quite hear Joe. There's too many people.
Ralph's stuffed peppers were the best thing that I've eaten in 2019.
And then there's Chris's stuffed peppers.
And then there's Chris's stuffed peppers. Chris did a vegetarian version, and they
Oh, it was bad. It
were
was
no
scary.
bueno.
Were they vegan?
I have no idea.
They were.
Even worse.
What's in the stuffed peppers? What's in the,
Ralph.
Yes, sir.
What's in the stuffed peppers?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ancient Chinese secret.
I don't reveal my secrets.
Just,
don't.
Well, just roughly.
But I can tell you this: there is ricotta,
Okay.
there is sausage, there's pepperoni,
Oh my goodness!
and a roasted pepper
Wow.
with a nice marinara with a little pesto drizzle.
That sounds so
Oh
good.
my god.
It was-
Wow.
Let's go there for lunch.
So I won't be here for lunch.
They're at studio.
I'll bring the bread. I'll make some bread.
We haven't mentioned the person that I started with.
Oh yeah.
Someone just showed up from Atlanta, hot Atlanta. Susan Lipsett is back.
I'm back.
Susie!
The harbinger of summer.
Harbinger, yeah. It's you always bring and the Queenamons are
And the Queenamons.
fabulous.
Can I
Glad you
take
like
one? Can I take one home?
Yeah, I'm just going to put in a drive-through window for you. Paul.
The drive-through window.
Throw it out in the car.
Let's share. Oh,
Driving window. Here we go.
Let's share with Susan all the excitement she missed over the winter.
Yeah, I'd like to know what was going on.
The piping plovers are back.
Oh, thank God. I need to talk to Kim about recycling,
Oh, yeah, that's a
I
good-
had a recycling incident that I'm really
Oh no.
very shook up about.
Oh,
What happened?
Okay, I live in Atlanta. We recycle everything.
Everything,
We don't just pick and choose what's easy. And if we were going to pick and choose, we wouldn't just recycle stuff that's really biodegradable anyway, like paper.
Right.
So I put out my box of recycling when I got here. Mostly cardboard boxes that I cut up and stacked and tied. There were 2 pieces of styrofoam in that box. Now, I avoid styrofoam. I don't buy it, but I had something sent to me that had styrofoam
in it.
packaging, so
how did
I
I?
had no choice. So I put them in this big box full of cardboard. The recycling truck comes by. They left the whole thing.
They left.
It was tainted by the styrofoam.
They're
Now, in Atlanta, we recycle styrofoam.
See, styrofoam isn't recyclable. Like,
Well, no, it actually is, 'cause I looked
send
it up.
Well, but so the
Degrees, there's levels, there's
They
levels.
want clean recycling because that's the Chinese are getting more and more particular about what they're accepting.
Yes, I understand. I was
So-
just there.
On a
But
recycling trip.
rather
same
than
thing's
just
going on in
take
Mexico.
out the 2 pieces of styrofoam, they left all of
They
it.
leave the whole thing. They're just because they want you to take it out. That's why.
They're going to make a point so that
Right.
the next time
Yeah,
you're definitely not going
But
to leave the
my thought
styrofoam.
is that if anything needs to be recycled,
Well,
it should be styrofoam.
as far as I know-
Styrofoam does have the universal symbol on it. The recycling universal symbol, I believe, is the triangle.
Yeah, but there's also a number in the
The
middle,
arrows.
1 to 5, of levels of
Well, this was from
recyclability.
Williams-Sonoma. I'm just going to have to call them. I'm going to bring it back to the Williams-Sonoma store and tell
Yeah.
them to deal with it.
Yeah, because they
So I
should-
texted
they
a photo
shouldn't
of
be
this
sending
box
They
stuff.
might charge you.
Kate Shimataro, my ecology expert, and she said, "Oh no, you got to get rid of that styrofoam." I said, "Okay, what do I do with it? Where do I take it?" She said, "Oh, you break it up in small pieces and hide it in the purple trash bag."
Oh,
Now that to me is just counterintuitive.
yeah.
It becomes trash.
Just burn it.
It's just trash
Right.
then, right? It's
Right.
You know what? Just throw it in the ocean.
That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Does he understand the meaning of the song?
Yeah. Yes.
What- Okay, so the styrofoam goes in the ocean. Is that what we've come down to? Is that what we agreed on?
I don't know.
I'm
but
not agreeing
I'm
on that.
trying so hard to do all this recycling.
The turtles
and they
need something.
just,
What are they doing,
the
China?
city
You just
employees
came
are
back.
making it more difficult for
You,
me.
I want to
Turtles need
thank you.
something.
I want to thank you for bringing the Queen Amman.
Yep. I brought you Berkshire pork.
Berkshire pork that
I
we're
brought
going to
you
cook
treats from
tomorrow.
China.
Today or tomorrow. Treats
You
from
better
China.
come get that meter. My son's getting here tonight, and he's just going to start grilling it. So.
Oh my God. Well, you also brought, she came bearing gifts, also some whiskey, some small batch
We brought
whiskeys.
small batch Southern whiskeys with us.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
We have a lot of planning to do. We got to consume all these products.
Yeah, we better get started.
So what was your China trip like?
My China trip.
Because you said you were
was-
very thankful for freedom when you got back.
Well, I was thinking about it this Memorial Day weekend. I'm always grateful, but this year I'm extra grateful, having just traveled throughout Asia and I spent quite a bit of time in China, and we were warned there about things not to talk about. And hovering over us was always the idea that a bunch of people from Canada had just been put into Chinese labor camps, and no one hears from you again. They told us not to mention the 3 T's: Taiwan, Tibet, and Tiananmen Square.
The three
Wow,
T's,
yeah.
huh?
And when I went to Tiananmen Square, I guess it's this month, or maybe next month is the 30th anniversary of the massacre in Tiananmen Square. No one's allowed to talk about it.
Wild.
And we had a wonderful time there, and there's just a lot to see and do, and it's very interesting. But I wanted to really do like the Pope and kiss the ground when I got back off the plane, except we laid over in Detroit, and I didn't think that was hygienic to do that.
Well, they don't have any clean water to wash the streets
My
with.
friend calls it the toilet.
The toilet.
So, but I mean, it really gave me a new appreciation, and just also how poor the people there are. They have 12 people in a 1-room apartment, and like professional people. It's
And is it clean, and how is the food?
very clean. The food was amazing.
Yeah.
That's really the only reason we ever leave home anyway, is to try food in different places.
Well, we're happy to have you back, that's for sure. Speaking of cleanliness,
I'm happy to be back.
The-
Happy to be had.
we had a big douching here at the dock.
Yeah, it looks
I
amazing.
saw it in
We had a
process.
cleansing.
Looks like a
Great choice
Looks
of
like
And
a
look
half,
up there
a
where
half
the wall
douche.
meets the
I do
ceiling.
smell the vinegar.
No, this
just
one
smell
wall, this
vinegar.
one, the
Right
wall.
here, behind your
I
head.
understand. This one wall is we
You
have
still have
got
much
to
to
this
do.
one wall
Yeah.
to do.
You still have
All
much
the other walls are
That's the
scrubbed,
most
talked
difficult
about.
Did
one.
Frank approve
Why?
this? Did you get approval from Frank
No.
to clean?
Oh, not yet. He's on vacation,
Yeah, it's
so I
looking
wanted
much
to
better.
wanted to
He's on
surprise
vacation,
him.
he'll
I think
be
we
surprised.
should have really had it
What a
on
nice
reality
surprise.
TV, though.
That would have been great.
Like Hoarders.
Quarters.
There's a lot of stuff. We're doing the dump run tomorrow.
Yeah, like how much?
Can you
stuff
take my
like this?
styrofoam?
We might be able to work on that.
Are they open tomorrow?
How big is
No.
it? How much?
Which
is it?
reminds
I'll
me,
put-
we're issuing free tetanus shots for everybody.
It's like Captain Joe and Sons, where toaster ovens go to die.
If,
We have there's two toast. There's two.
No, there's like 10 of them
No,
down there, I
there's-
swear.
There's a convection oven, toaster oven, but there's two iterations of them. This is the third one that's in the office
Oh,
now.
that's funny.
It's like
So-
the Hamilton Beach Museum over here.
It is too. Punk the
But
Silence,
it-
Hamilton Beach.
Pat Dalpy has volunteers down the visitor center. We have to add that onto the maps. She gives
The
the graveyard.
Don't come here for
the
louses.
small electric graveyard.
That's about right.
These
World
days.
famous. The world famous.
Captain Joe and Sons.
Okay, another topic about having to do with recycling. Chris came across an alternative to paper straws so we were in Naples. Chris and I
Reusable.
were and Ralph and Kim and Charlene and Kate.
Plastic.
Yeah, oh.
So we went to Naples, and this place that we were at used paper straws, and the humidity and everything like that. Literally, you don't even get half the way through your drink, and
And
the
it
Melts
straw
the
was
straws.
Yeah.
falling apart.
Yeah.
And you said you found an alternative.
Well, I went to Mile Marker about a month ago when they kind of first opened, and they now serve all their drinks in these recyclable cups and recyclable straws. So it's brilliant, which I've been saying all these years.
Recyclable or reusable?
Recyclable. So it's like, if you can make a recyclable cup, why can't you just use the same material to make the straws?
Right.
So, Joe, I sent you the
You know,
name.
at Georgia Tech,
but-
they have an Institute of Paper and Packaging Science.
Really?
Yeah, I think we should get them.
I think
Isn't that
we
where
should
Russell
Fly
is?
up here and talk to us on the podcast.
That would be a great.
So the name of the company is Echo Products.
Echo Products,
Okay.
and even if you have to charge me 3 more cents, add 3 cents to my
Right.
meal. If I can get a plastic straw. that
So
doesn't
where's your
melt,
cutoff point?
That
15
adds up,
cents?
though,
What
you
if it adds 15
As
cents?
much as you drink,
No.
that adds
Just
up.
pass the
Chris.
actual cost on.
Chris doesn't spend 15 cents on a drink.
Is,
Never mind for a straw.
Yeah. Well, the ones that people buy me, the drinks people buy me, I prefer it.
The donated
I'll tell you
drink.
what, I was pouring wine last night, passports to him, and he sent back 3 bottles of wine. I mean, they're each halfway done, but he sent them all.
I'm like, yeah, this is not good. This is not the right year.
halfway through. What was he drinking? Was he drinking the Camus?
He did have some Camus. We fired up some Camus. What was it one? Haas?
Hall.
Hall.
Oh, so it was a wine tasting.
No.
You were giving away free wine.
For Chris, it
There's
was.
no way
Wasn't
Chris is
free.
paying for
And
Camus.
then we had,
I didn't get the family and friends.
and we had the what was it? What was the
Spontaneous
sparkling?
wine tasting.
We had some
Yeah.
sparkling rosé, Beaumard.
What's that one he likes out of the box?
Amard means lobster.
Right.
Black-
Black gold, I think
Black-
it's called.
No,
All right,
but-
here's a question. What's going to be the drink of the summer now
We
that
need
we're
an
launching
Ambusco.
the summer season? Last year it was the Aperol Spritzer.
Yeah.
The year before it was the Frosé.
What about the
Rosé.
Moscow Mule?
But Moscow Mule's in there, and then remember the Mojito.
How about
What's
the,
going to be this summer?
I'm serious.
How about the
Mezcal.
frozen
Oh,
lemonade with
Chris's.
blueberry stoli
Oh,
and
that
fresh
sounds
blueberries
good.
on top?
How
Yeah.
good does that sound?
That's what we were
Ralph's a
drinking down in
master at
Naples.
He-
Or the
On his
the
boat,
Tito's
he
and
makes those.
Fresca. I've seen that a
Sounds
lot.
so
Gee, that's
good.
a Fresca that's hot.
Yeah,
right
but the
now.
problem is, no one
I
carries
told you,
Fresca.
boat rides can be traded for parking privileges, you know.
What can?
Boat rides.
Boat rides,
Does
yes.
blueberry
Oh, you don't
slowly
wanna
really
ride
taste like
Chris.
blueberry?
No.
Or does it just have a, like a
You don't
bitter
wanna ride
taste?
Well, you want to ride with Ralph.
Ah,
hopefully.
I don't know.
He's
I
got
don't
a
really
bunch
I
of
want to
boat.
ride with Ralph while eating the stuffed peppers. That's what I really
If you
want.
play your cards right, you'll get a stuffed pepper.
Sounds so good.
So the Bruins
I'll
playoffs
make
start
the
tomorrow
time.
night.
Okay, everybody, stop talking. We're talking about the Bruins now.
Likes representing.
Ralph's going to the
I'm going to the
game.
bathroom break.
Mike is wearing the jersey,
The black and gold, baby.
black and gold, and this is it. What's interesting and I'm happy about is that every game is at 8:00. There's no like
No guesswork.
West Coast game where it's at like a 9:30
10.
start, a 10 o'clock
I
start.
would prefer 7, but I will.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you had to take like one set time, I mean 8:00 is not terrible.
No,
Right.
but 7 would be better.
7 would be better.
Take your naps.
But I will be prepared for every game,
Yeah,
no matter where I am.
you're ready to go.
Ready to go.
Joey watches them like at the drive-in movies.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, it was great. Barry set us up. So who among us, excluding this isn't go to the ladies, but have you guys? You saw the video about the Scrotox, Botox for your testicles. Are you guys?
You want to go?
Have you guys?
Welcome the Bruins into that.
Are you guys considering the Scrotox?
Can we shortcut the Bruins conversation for this?
I haven't really researched it, Joe. Why don't you explain the value of Scrotox? The
So
benefits?
you know how your nutsack can get all wrinkly and stuff like that. They're injecting Botox to make it a nice smooth appearance for your nuts.
I
Really?
hope yours explodes.
Why? Why would you say such a thing?
I hope he injects
Jack-
too much.
You inject too much in there.
In
So-
some cultures, a bigger nutsack is a prestigious thing.
Really? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Some cultures it's
What
also an
culture
illness.
is that?
Elephantitis, right?
They
But-
can get out of control.
What? How did we go
But
to
I'm still trying to
elephantitis?
figure out. I mean, maybe
That's a thing. The
for us married men.
Oprah.
For us married men who
Oh,
have been
are we
married
talking
for,
Oprah?
multiple years, I don't see any value in prettying up my junk.
Oh my
well,
God.
maybe it would entice your wife to
To get a little closer.
take care of business.
Maybe she could look at it.
Well, maybe I should ask her that. Maybe
Well,
we should poll the female audience.
The
See,
question
I
is-
think it would be. I think one benefit would be that it would make it much easier to shave your nuts because it'd be nice and smooth. There wouldn't be any like nooks and crannies that the
Oprah.
razor could get.
I thought you waxed.
No, no.
Oh, you don't.
I didn't.
No.
You know.
No, first of all, you know, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I don't think I need Scrotox for the record.
You
my
might.
wife would be the expert on that. So
Get her on the phone. Get Kim on the phone.
Oh boy.
See if we can see.
Here we go. Here's
Oh,
here's the polling
There we
question. If my scrotum was prettier,
Hold on.
smoother.
We're getting Kim DiGiorgio on the phone.
Oh boy. My mom's calling me.
What happened? I just hung up on her.
Maybe she is
She
69.
considers it a blessing that you did that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Maybe she hung up.
God, I know.
Hi, honey. You're live on Good Morning Gloucester.
Good morning, Gloucester.
Good morning, Kim. We have we need a professional opinion.
Oh boy.
Don't call my wife a professional in this subject.
Connoisseur.
So Kim, are you familiar with the new phenomenon that's sweeping the males?
It's sweeping East Gloucester.
So there's a procedure called there's a procedure called Scrotox,
Oh boy.
where men that have wrinkly nut sacks, they have a Botox injected so that it would be more of a smooth appearance.
That sounds very painful. No, I am not familiar with that at all. I've never heard of that.
So the question is, do you think that something like that is a worthwhile procedure to make a male's nutsack
Genitals.
more appealing?
More appealing.
Would it improve the value of the property?
No. So I would say that I don't need that in our life.
Good
And
answer.
it is the only, I'm not going to say what you just said, the only NS that I see, so I'm good. I don't care what other people
She must not be a nurse.
Boy, honey, sounds like today we're in Copley. We have to take you to the Louis store again.
Can I run
Actually, maybe
only telling the
Tiffany's.
truth, honey. Only telling the truth.
All right. Well, thank you, Kim. We appreciate your input.
Okay, I can't wait to listen later on.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Now we should ask Charlene McCarthy.
Charlene,
You'll be the total polar
Now we'll
opposite.
see what Charlene has to say. Get Charlene on the phone.
Oh, absolutely. Those things hang down to the floor.
Here we go.
Okay, you
Hello?
chime in.
Hi, Charlie. You're on the GloucesterCast right now.
Oh, God. Hi, Joe.
Hi, honey.
Hi, Charlene.
Hello.
So
Morning, Joe.
that's Mike Codair is with us. It's Susan.
Our bartender
The
is.
bartender last night was amazing.
I heard he's pouring the Camus freely last night.
Yes, he was.
Susan's here. She made you a crostini. Whatever they're
Queen
called.
of mine.
Close.
Queen of mine.
Queen of mine.
And Kim
Hi, Susan.
Hi, Charlene.
And Kim.
Get me
Kim's
out of here.
and Kim Smith is here as well.
Hi, Charlene.
So the question we have, so there's a new male procedure, which is called Scrotox, which is and this is available for men who have wrinkly nuts to inject Botox,
Who identify
to
as
inject
male.
Botox so that it'll have a more smooth appearance.
Right now.
Ew.
Potential balloon.
So do you think that this is a worthwhile procedure, or we need
No,
your?
absolutely not. Those things should be tucked away and hidden and
And not seen or heard from.
Exactly.
no.
Especially
They're
on the
just,
podcast.
why do you want to stare at them? They're ugly.
Well,
Am I an ugly honey?
So useless. They're useless.
Well, Charlene,
Charlene, they're of no use to Charlene.
Charlene, that was a
Charlene has no use for them.
that was
Might as well
actually
not even have them.
that was actually a trick question because most male genitals are very, very good looking. So apparently you haven't been with anybody else.
No, you know what? The thing in the middle is fine, but you know what? The other two things are useless, and just tuck them away.
man
Unless
in the
you're a
middle.
male stripper and want people staring at them, then go for the Scrotox.
Charlene was stopping for eggs on the way home.
Okay,
Charlene, I think we're going to set up a GoFundMe for Chris to have it.
Yeah.
How much does it
perfect.
cost?
Okay.
So Charlene, we need you to next time that you're down in that vicinity to take a picture.
I have a picture. You want to
I'm
see
all
it?
over it, Ralph.
Hey,
All
next time
over
might be
it.
the first time in over a decade, so.
Yeah.
all right,
How
y'all.
much does it
All
cost?
right. Well, thank you for the phone call.
Love you,
All
Sean.
right, honey. Thank you,
Hi,
Sean.
Charlene.
I
He
think
really married up, didn't he?
I think Good Morning Gloucester should pay for the procedure for
Yeah,
me.
how much does it cost?
What
You
concern-
crowdfunding.
What really concerns me, Chris, is the fact that you can't even fill out that rubber glove there.
Yeah, these must be extra large. They are. Well, no, they would be perfect. Like,
Stop it. All right. So there we go.
For the baby finger.
So we have a
You didn't tell
we
me
have-
how
we
much
have
it
a- we-
costs.
I don't know the cost. I think it's like $13,000 to $15,000.
What?
That's what they said
1,000?
for the whole to get it to where you want it to go. It's
Oh, not for a shot.
there you go.
I mean, for that kind of money, goddamn.
So speaking of spending money, and we have a potential really bad situation on our hands, and it's coming down to a deadline. The Fiesta's coming, and Ralph's boat has a transmission issue.
Uh-oh.
So he's going through hell right now, and everybody's on pins and needles, wondering if we're going to be able to get out there for the greasy pole. Ralph, take it away. What happened?
Well, for starters, we will be out there for the greasy pole.
even if we have
Even
to
if
row.
I have to buy a new boat. We'll go on record with that. And I'm sorry, honey, but that would happen. So apparently,
What did I do?
when I was placing the boat in the water, and I went into reverse, everything seemed fine. But when I went into forward, the port side engine did not engage. And I thought it was odd, but it took about 5 or 6 seconds for it to go into gear. And the mechanic who took the boat out of the water last year and services the boat said to me, "Oh, that's funny." He said, "I remember this happening in the fall. I had a hard time getting it in gear. And then when we drained the fluids out of the IPS drive, it smelt burnt." And I said, "You're telling me this now?
Now, right?
If you told me this in October, we would have addressed it. But
Right.
now, as the day of the launch, I'm finding out that there was a potential problem with the transmission." So long and the short, we get Volvo to come out and work on the boat this past Friday. And what they do is they have to take the boat out of the water. In the bottom of the pods, they open the valve and they drain the fluids. Well, he has this dirty pan where he's draining the fluid into it, and he says, "Oh, that's not good." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, I see fragments of metal." And I said, "Oh, bearings?" He says, "Yeah, there could be the bearings could be burnt out. I have to take out the whole pod, which is just the whole piece that goes right through the boat. It's a major operation. It's going to take 2 men. We got to raise the boat up, spin the boat. We got to get a special forklift. We got to do this. We got to do that. Do this." I said, "Hold on. How much is this going to cost?"
Yeah.
And when he started telling me the numbers, I got violently ill. So I sat there, and now there's 2 more mechanics that come over, and the 3 of them are collaborating, and they're saying, "Oh yeah, no, if there's metal, you got to do that, because if you spend the money just on the transmission, you put it back together, this could happen again. It could be triple the price." And yeah. So I looked at them, and I'm scratching my head, and I said, "I'm no mechanic by no stretch," but I said, "Does anybody have a paint filter or a coffee filter?" And they all looked at me like I had 3 heads. And one of them said, "Yeah, I think we're doing the paint shit." I said, "Can you get it for me?" So he goes and gets a paint filter, brings it back, and we put the paint filter underneath the thing, open it up, and we're draining all the fluid through the filter, gear oil. And I'm looking at it, and I don't see, and at the very end, when it's the tail end of the last ounces of fluid coming through, if there were metal fragments, it would leave a little trail of metal fragments, right?
Right.
No metal in the fluid at all. So I said, "Is it possible
Plus.
that the pan that was dirty to begin with had metal fragments in it, and it wasn't metal from my boat?" And he said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, shouldn't we have started with a nice clean pan to begin with, you know?"
Right. Oh boy.
So he said, "Yeah, well, it's a risk, but it's hard to tell now." I said, "Well, it's hard to tell between a cost of $5,000 to $25,000 because someone had a dirty pan." I said, "I'll tell you what. Why don't we take the top part of the transmission off, and let's look at it. If there's metal fragments, then we'll take the whole thing out." "Yeah, but that's going to cost a lot more." "I don't care. I'd rather take the chance." So we take the whole top end out, we take the whole thing, we muscle it out, get it out, look at it, and it was all the bearings were clean. There was no issues. There was no nothing, because the oil pumps from the bottom up to the top. So there would be
Remind me
some
to
signs.
call Ralph next time I buy a boat.
Anyway, long and the short is, we pull the whole thing
Yeah, the
off,
top
and
is
we look at it, and
Or
he says,
any problem
the
solved.
mechanic says to me, "You made the right call."
After all that,
Wow.
You made the right call. He says, and I should take you out on all my jobs. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? You
job,
lose
Ralph.
money.
Right.
so long and the short
You don't
is,
want
I
that.
should be back in action in 1 week rather than the 3 to 5 weeks that it would have taken if they took the whole thing out.
Which would have taken
you
us
should
out
get a
of the
different-
Fiesta range.
Out of the
Awful.
and then at that point in time, the boat would
Have you
go
thought
back.
about
on the
getting a different?
We could have
mechanic?
sued that guy.
I know, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So
Maybe he's
yeah,
trying to take you.
How do you trust
I
that?
don't know. I don't think he was.
In the
But
back of my mind, all I could think of at this point is the guy is going to sabotage something
Right.
so that when it goes back in,
That
he can
just
say,
crossed
"I
my
told you
mind
so."
too. I was going to use
That's
the
all
word
I could think of.
sabotage.
so
Yeah.
for all you listeners out there, we will be delaying the release of this podcast until after the transmission's back in the boat.
Well, he doesn't know. He doesn't listen. So Kim, tell me, we got a new. There's a new gallery at City Hall.
Oh.
It's going to be a rotating gallery.
Rotating gallery, yeah. And
Where
it's
can people
right,
find it?
It's right near the auditor's
Is it near the
office.
beach stickers?
Yeah, near the auditor's.
Which I also want to
It's-
talk about in a minute.
It's on the first floor near the auditor's office, and it's
saw that.
opening with Jason Grove's beautiful portraits, the veterans portraits that he's been working on. I don't know, for about 5 or 6 years,
Oh.
and they initially had that in his exhibit in the entire city hall, and so this is a smaller gallery, and it's going to have rotating artists as well. And it was created by Mayor Spatia and the Committee for the Arts. So it's a really
Very
good
cool.
thing. Really nice thing to have.
I have to say,
gallery
I'm
in there.
not a full year resident of Gloucester, but I follow everyone on Facebook. And this mayor, Sapatia, seems to have done more for this city.
Yeah.
Every time I open Facebook, she's got some new
initiative or
Yes,
program.
they do.
initiative or a great idea. Like, actually, it's so rare to see a politician actually try to help people and make their lives better.
She's super.
Lead from the front.
Yeah.
Amen.
She's super.
I'm so impressed by her.
She's
I
a
don't know,
unite.
I'm so
She's a
impressed with
uniter
her.
of people. She's not a divider of people. She
But she's
her-
just got
her
so
heart-
many things going on.
her heart is in-
so,
her heart is in the right place all the time,
all the time.
you know, it would
Yeah.
seem so as an outsider.
Yeah.
and she surrounds herself with really smart people as well.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
Huh?
Ronald Reagan did that.
That's the move. That's the move.
You want to be successful, surround yourself with successful people.
Millennial Monopoly. Can you
Oh, the
said
game. This has been out a while. I'm surprised you haven't,
I haven't heard of it.
played it. Edition
Well, we're
of
not
Monopoly
we're
that
not
came out
millennials.
a while back, but you have millennial age children ish. Some of you, I do. Millennial Monopoly is the first edition of the game where you can't buy real estate, and instead you spend your money on experiences.
So how do you win the game?
So like
You know,
Boardwalk
I've
is
never
a
played. I
massage.
just watched the
massage
news.
at
I heard
Mix.
about it.
A massage at Mix.
It's because they can't
Massage
afford,
Asians,
afford to
orchards of
buy
Asia,
real estate.
orchards
They have
of
no
Asia.
interest in buying real estate. They want to just have
Park
experiences.
Place is an
They
Indian
can't
Not
afford
safe
it.
for their
They
retirement.
can't afford it because they're too busy paying off their college loans.
You know, I don't think that's it, because I know a lot of millennials who don't have college loans, but they spend all their money traveling and eating in restaurants
think
and
it's
buying themselves
And
electronics.
And drinking.
I think there's
Digital nomad.
I see.
So
There's a
that's
lot of
not
Right.
not the norm in the way that we were brought up. But
Yeah.
is it wrong? I'm just playing down the
There's
middle.
got to be
here.
balance.
Yeah.
I mean, we were brought up. We go to school. We get a good job. We learn to save
For retirement.
for retirement.
Yeah.
Buy
But
some real estate.
buy some real estate. But what these young people are doing today is living the dream. But is it wrong? I'm
They're
not
living our dreams.
They're living no, but here's the thing. I mean, you know, most of us spend our entire life working our fannies off to achieve retirement.
When your
And
health
then
health is questionable.
If health is questionable, and
Right.
and I have a lot of friends that have issues
did
with
that.
health and don't make it. And I said it the other day to a friend of mine. I said, you know, we kill ourselves to get to this point where we're looking forward to retirement. And God forbid something happens to you or your spouse, and it's all for naught.
Right, then it's all for naught.
Well, so the millennials can then buy real estate with what they inherit.
Well, that's, you know, which one is smarter, us or the millennials?
Yeah.
Maybe they'll
But-
come out with a new edition, Millennial Heirs.
Maybe maybe they'll buy their houses when they're in their 50s and
Yeah.
60s.
There's something to be said about the
Yeah.
quality
Yeah.
of life.
Yeah. No, I think you're right.
I tell you, I say it all the time about my dad. When,
Right.
I'm gonna put off that trip to Italy,
Right.
off that trip to Italy, and put it off for 10 years, and then get Alzheimer's and never go to Italy.
Yeah.
You never went?
No.
Told my mother I was gonna take her for 10 years,
Oh,
and then never
I'm
went,
going
never
in
got to go.
October.
There's got to be balance. There's
I
gotta be balance.
remember when I was in high school, my teacher was
Find
planning
this
on,
out, Joey.
planning on retiring. His wife, him and his wife were retiring at the same time, and they were planning on traveling the whole country. They bought one of those brand new Winnebagos, and they were going to drive all over the country. And 2 days after he retired, his wife passed away.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
So
Wow, so sad.
yeah, I know. I don't know how we went off the rails here, but
I'm obsessed with glamping and Winnebago travel and stuff like that. I've never even stepped. Well, I
how
don't.
can you be obsessed with it if you've never done it?
The idea of it.
Okay.
And looking at it. So to me, I think it would be, and I've never done it. I think it would be so cool
We should take it.
to get in a Winnebago
I know.
and go to like different festivals. For you know what I mean? Like say you didn't live in Gloucester and
Be a
like,
groupie.
take it to Gloucester or take it to Strawberry Festival or the Lobster Boat Races up in Maine.
Or the Lobster Festival.
Or the Lobster Festival.
First you delete
But
the
people that buy them,
Wallace article.
I don't understand why you would buy them if you only plan on,
Well,
say-
why don't you rent
what-
one and see if you like it?
Well,
before you buy it?
that's where I was
What do
going
you
with
have
it.
at Cruise America.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
you should try that, Joe.
Is that what it is? When you have-
Don't invite me.
You don't.
I'll go with
that,
you.
You
that's
don't have
not.
any
That
interest
doesn't.
in doing that?
Well, you did something like that, but it was on a boat when you guys went out for
Yeah, it
mixed
was a
party.
75-foot houseboat. It was a little different than a
That
little,
was 75 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's big.
Five couples in 70.
Yeah.
Five couples in 75 feet is still
I
still
remember
not that
Yeah,
big.
the Lake Powell.
Yeah, sure it is. That's
I
plenty
remember
of
Lake
room.
Powell. It was
For
fantastic.
5 couples.
That's plenty of room.
That's an experience.
Yeah, Lake Powell's cool.
We won't do it again, but it was an
I don't think
experience.
you could fit 5 couples in a Winnebago.
No.
No.
Susan,
What, honey?
you would tell. So my daughter Eloise next year is in high school, and what people might not know about you is that you were a college.
I did some private college counseling. Never planned to, but I was helping my own kids and their friends and my friends' kids, and then strangers started contacting me, wanting me to help their kids.
Yeah.
It's not like that stuff you see.
People
on the
are going to
news.
jail
There
for
was
that.
There were no bribes
How
or
much were
anything
you
involved, but I ended up inadvertently or unintentionally helping some kids figure out, how to get themselves ready for college.
So I don't know anything about today's process, but from what I read, it's as if it's a whole cottage industry of like the the admissions process
Felonies
today
and bribes.
is insane. Like what you have to do.
It's
to,
not like when we applied to
No.
college. I don't think any of us could get into the schools
No.
we went to nowadays.
My
It's
husband,
very tough.
My
And you have,
husband says that all the time. He went to Tufts. He says that all the time about Tufts.
yeah, forget it.
I'm not sure I got into my school in the first place, to be honest. I think my parents made a phone call.
You see?
Yeah, I don't know how I got to the school I went to. It's like,
they
no.
took the money.
You have to start packaging the kid once they're.
So what?
You know,
But would you?
starting high
Because
school.
this, and that's where I was going with this was that you had said to me it's not too early to start packaging Eloise for college, and I'm like, what does that mean?
And I don't mean packaging and like turning her into somebody she's not. But like here's a for instance, I think I told you this story already. This young girl I knew, like her mother came to me for help, and the girl was very bright, but not very interesting. She was very quiet, introverted. She wasn't involved in a lot of activities or sports or anything, and the mother wanted her to go to her alma mater, which was an Ivy League school. And I thought, well, and there are some people who are just smart enough to go without anything else going on, but this girl was not quite at that level. So I said, well, we got to get her involved in, developing some interests, some community service, some whatever. And I said, is there anything she likes to do? Well, she has a horse. She likes the horse. But she would go and ride the horse by herself. That's not going to get you into college. So I said, well, there's a group in Atlanta that does hippotherapy with horses with kids who have autism. Would she be willing to do something like that? Take her horse and help these kids? Well, we can try it. The girl did it. loved it, got very involved with this group, ended up doing independent research at her private high school into some neuroscience topic about autism, ended up getting into the school that she wanted to go to, majored in neuroscience,
Wow.
and is now getting an MD PhD in New York.
That's
That's
awesome.
a
All
great
out
story.
of what you can do
Her passion.
creatively with a
Yeah.
quiet girl who loves her horse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great story.
Follow your passion.
But none of these were things that she didn't like. We didn't.
Right.
She wasn't forced to be someone she's not. It's just finding ways to channel interests and abilities.
Yeah.
And that's what when I say packaging, that's what I'm
So, if
talking
you,
about.
what advice would you
And
give?
in the old days, they used to say, okay, you've got to be in 1,000 clubs and sports,
Right.
and just have all these things. It's not that way anymore. You need to find one or a few things, and you
Make
want
impact.
depth rather than breadth, and
Yeah.
you want to just be all in with that, and just do the best you can with a more limited number of interests
That's
or
really
endeavors.
amazing.
That's a
good
great
advice.
story.
Yeah.
Great message.
Yeah. So we should talk about what we can do for Eloise and get her.
That's what I
on
want
the
to
right
get to
path.
know her.
Joe, just
little
write a
bit
check
better.
to somebody. We'll give a couple
It's
people.
just like it's more just like thinking, about the kid in a different way. And
Yeah.
there are all the this kid has so much potential. Well, let's make it so other people.
It's
Well,
a
let's
classic
see,
line.
let's help her
Accentuate the
develop her
positive, Joey.
Yeah.
Well, she's
Accentuate
straight.
the
She's straight
positive.
A. She's got the call. She's got
This
the.
is like a girl, a good, reasonably good student with a horse.
SAT word of the day.
Well, now it's an app where it's actually the question of the day, but a lot of it is vocabulary. And
How
I
do you-
highly recommend it to people whose kids are, maybe middle school age or older. Just start. It comes, you get a notification. I guess I'm not using the app. They used to do it by email in the days where I was counseling, but I got everyone into getting that, word every day.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So that's probably on Android and Apple, I would imagine.
It's in the App Store, yeah.
App Store.
Yeah, App
Oh,
Store.
I don't think Android. You don't care about Android anymore.
It wouldn't even hurt us to, study up, polish up our vocabulary.
So I got
So we
my.
don't have to use words like janky.
I might.
Janky is a real
Why do you
word.
hate Jackie? It's a real
I
word.
don't hate it, but I think you could do better. I think you're an intelligent man.
I like that word. I like the way
I think it was the
sounds.
perfect word for.
Would Churchill have used that word? That's what I always ask myself.
It has animosity.
When I'm going to use a word, would Churchill have said this word?
But I like it because it has onomatopoeia where it
And if
sounds
not,
like,
I'll try to
it
find a
sounds
better
like
word.
the word.
Yeah, yeah.
I love
That's
Churchill.
why I like it.
So
I've watched
on
all,
the beaches.
Did you discuss the
watched
bird in the
all
house on the podcast yet?
Clara.
the movies. I
Huh?
watched those
Did you
movies
cover the
that
bird in your house on the
came out.
podcast yet?
But
You must
this
Yeah,
was
yeah,
one,
I talked
The Churchill movies?
yeah.
I go to every one of them. I see it 3
What was
times.
the
I love
guy
it.
that acted in that movie? What was the actor?
Gary Oldman.
No, the other. I can find it now. That's gonna
What's
bother
his
me.
name? Yeah.
So just quickly, with this weekend being Memorial Day, as some of you know, my son graduated last weekend, Washington D.C. So I
Big
spent a
mazel
few days.
tov.
Thank you.
Connor.
Thank you. And one of the things that my oldest son and I did is we went up to the tomb of the unknown soldier.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
I mean, to your point earlier, just about showing appreciation and what makes you, appreciate what America is all about,
Right.
and what makes you a proud American. You go and we spent 2 hours sitting on the step, and just, complete.
Was it crowded there?
It got real crowded. It opened at 8. We were the
Good.
first ones
It
into.
was quiet. Sorry, go ahead.
It was quiet when we first got there, but then the school buses, the
Right.
school
People.
children started coming in. But I had been there before, but this was special because it was the full color guard ceremony, because they were honoring a few fallen soldiers. So they had all branches of the military there. I mean,
Bring a tear to your eye.
it was.
Well, I just
unbelievable.
visited the tomb of Mao Zedong, where they have his body in a glass case on display.
I've seen that, yeah.
I didn't want to go there. My son-in-law really wanted to see it, and I spent most of the time trying to keep my husband quiet, who was mumbling under his breath that it wasn't really Mao, and they were fooling everyone.
Wow.
And I pictured him ending up in some Chinese labor camp.
Yeah.
You cannot believe the throngs of people who wait in line for hours
to see it.
To see
Wow.
it.
Wow.
To this day.
have no idea.
Who might not even be real.
Might not. I mean,
Yeah.
how could it? Yeah, how could it
Yeah.
be?
Yeah.
Your husband's a doctor, right?
Yeah, and he was saying that's not really Mao.
Right. Like how
You
could
know his
it be?
bodies.
Right. How could it be?
Well, that's like when
They
you go
said
to
they
the.
have the technology to do it.
That's like
And my
when you,
husband said the Russians did too, and Lenin like fell apart, and they had to do away with him.
doesn't the Vatican, I think, has some of the old popes.
Well, Ted
Lying
Williams.
in
what-
state.
doesn't
Oh, I
Ted
don't think
Ted
you can
Williams-
see.
Yeah,
it.
supposedly
His
he-
mouth. It was
Yeah.
one of the creepiest things
Oh,
I
really?
ever saw.
Frozen
Yeah.
state.
It's awful. And these Chinese people have like no money, buy these overpriced flowers outside and put them at the Mao
Probably like a week's
by the
salary or
body.
something.
And then my husband said, well, as soon as those people leave, they take those flowers back outside and sell
Sell
them
them
again.
again.
Nick is very. I
No,
didn't.
shut up.
I had no idea Nick
I
was
just
so
took China off
cynical.
my list of places to go.
I had no idea he was so
It was
cynical.
one of the creepiest things I ever saw.
Jeez, I got a whole different vision of the whole. I was dying to go to China, thinking
Oh,
about all
China's
the
marvelous.
shopping and everything like that.
The shopping is
And the food.
unbelievable.
the suits. My buddy of mine has been over there, and he comes home with like 5
Speaking
suits.
of which, I brought
Business
everyone a
suits.
little gift. Should we do it after? Or you want
No,
to
you
announce
can
on the
do it.
podcast?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was in China. I was in Atlanta all winter, warm as toast. No snow, no
Yeah.
icicles. And I would listen to the podcast, and I would feel so sorry for y'all being here in this
It was
crappy office, freezing to death. So when I went to China, I was still thinking of y'all, and I brought little souvenirs because everything costs about $25 there. These are cashmere socks,
Oh.
and you get the socks, and you get the socks,
And you get a car. And you get
And
a
I
car.
I'm on Ellen.
pick her color first.
wow, those are beautiful.
I'm on Ellen.
It feels so nice. Everything is so
Oh my God.
inexpensive, but this I was thinking of y'all freezing up here while I was
Well,
not.
I would take the dark gray because I
You
want
want the
so
dark
much-
gray?
Yeah. this
I was
one
I would
have.
I thought Joey would want the blue to match his new hat that I heard about.
I'll take the blue ones.
You take them and pass them on.
All right. Wow. Kim, take a picture. Take
See?
a picture of the socks.
Oh, okay.
Shanghai?
Shanghai.
Wow.
Shanghai socks.
When
This,
did you
this
get
one
that?
in there too.
A few weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
That is really
Just lay it
special.
down.
Take your time.
Well, it's they're
Not
good.
like we're
It's
not like we're recording or anything.
Aren't you a
Who
hand model,
doesn't
Joey?
want
Huh?
cashmere
Aren't you a
socks?
hand model?
Everyone would love them unless
Hand
you're
model?
allergic to
Hand
wool.
model.
Hand model.
Like a cat.
George
You
Costanza.
can give yours to Charlene if you're
No
smart.
way.
Okay, perfect.
Who was the hand model in the Seinfeld episode? Was it Costanza
No.
or was it Kramer?
Kramer,
Take a
Cosmo
picture,
Kramer.
pass it
These
on.
are so good.
Aren't they great?
Yeah, they're luxurious.
That's what I figured. Men like them, women like them. Who wouldn't like
Perfect
that?
amount. Everybody gets a picture.
Sweet idea.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very, very much.
Sweet.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, I am
Think
gonna
of
wear
me when you
these.
wear them. Wear them in good health.
Wow.
I'm gonna wear these.
Aren't they so nice?
Oh, they're so
They're
soft.
beautiful.
Jesus. Oh my
Gentle
God.
wash,
So
cold
soft.
water.
They smell like Chinese
And I
food.
hang everything up to dry.
They
anyway.
do
They
not.
smell like boneless spare
Do
ribs.
these have MSG in them? Do these have MSG?
They smell like boneless sparrows.
No. Okay.
Take it back.
We
Take
did not,
those back
we
from
did
him.
not
He
encounter
does not deserve those.
boneless spare ribs on any menu in China.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's for like watered down Americanized Chinese
Chinese
food.
They smell like boneless.
Cretins like you to
Was,
eat.
was Ming Tao wearing these? Did you pick these up with
Isn't
Ming
there
Tao?
some kind of expression about a gift horse, Kim? Are you familiar
Yes.
with that in this part of the country?
Don't look at
Give
the
those
toys.
mouth.
Look at look
Do you know
how
how-
nice the colors look.
Whoever gave you anything so nice who's not a
I'm telling
relative,
you, I was.
honestly.
He's gonna use those. You know what's
So
gonna.
thoughtful.
You know how? What he's gonna
Wasn't
do
it
with
nice?
those?
You know how much
He's
they
gonna use
cost
those
on,
to
like,
soil.
the Eileen Fisher website?
This is gonna be his new jerk.
Do you ever go to the Eileen Fisher
He's
outlet?
gonna
It's a
find.
Memorial Day sale, extra 20%
Or
off.
there's one in
Burlington.
Stand up.
Remember when you
Yeah.
remember when you're done with these, Chris.
Shirt for $8.
Machine wash, cold, gentle cycle.
This is all Eileen Fisher.
How do I wash
Eileen
these?
Fisher.
What are the
My
washing
favorite.
machines?
When Chris's
I
are all
guess if you
crusty
weren't
and
paying
they
attention.
and they're standing up on his own.
We need to up his dosage of his Ritalin. He's not paying attention. I said
Can I air dry them
gentle
outside?
gentle
Gentle
cycle
cold.
cold water, no dryer.
No
No
doubt.
dry.
Kim, the Monarchs are
My
here.
wife
The
throws
monarchs are
everything.
here, which is
They are?
Yeah.
Charlene
The
will
White
answer
Walkers?
this. The White
The
Walkers.
monarch butterflies are
Oh.
here, and it's like 6 weeks earlier.
Winter is
than
coming.
usual. No,
6
it's
weeks early.
It's really early.
So
It's
what
really,
what are
really
you
early.
attributing
How come?
that to?
Well, there's such a the population is up 144%.
Oh.
So we had a great winter.
Can you eat
Really-
'em?
They left early.
The
and-
prevailing winds.
Butterflies are getting some
Prevailing
action.
Can we
winds,
deep fry those,
they're,
Joey?
they're already in
Brian
Canada.
Cox.
They've already crossed Lake
Who's
Ontario.
Brian
They're
Cox?
already in
In the movie
Canada.
Wow.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Because they're laying and there's
Okay.
everywhere they go, they're
Gary
laying
Oldman
eggs
got the
everywhere.
Oscar
Yes,
for it.
that was
we
for
might have
Darkest
another.
Hour.
We might have another banner year. I mean, it's really, you know.
I attribute it all to your work on behalf of the Monarchs.
Other than Gallipoli,
no,
I
there's
think
so
you did
many
a great
people
job.
doing good work. There's
So
many
so
people
the
doing-
Monarchs
That
are.
was really good.
I love church.
Did you ever-
There's a lot of hanky panky going on in the
Yes,
Monarch world.
There's a lot of hanky panky going on right now.
Oh, yeah.
A friend just had
It's
one
like
in
a
her
religion
garden
in
and
our
she laid 120 eggs. So
120. Is that the brown? Like that? It's under the shingle of your house. The brown eggs they lay? No.
no, what are those? I forget what those are. Under the
Like
shingles?
gypsy moths?
What size are the eggs? Are they
No,
pretty
it's
good
like
size?
brown, and you could tell that it's just a big,
Oh,
It's like a
massive
cocoon.
eggs.
massive, not,
yeah, big massive eggs.
patch of eggs.
Yeah, that sounds like gypsy moths.
Gypsy moths.
Yeah.
Sounds like you want to get that checked.
You need to get a pressure washer.
I
I need a
Botox.
prescription.
I
I need a
need
prescription for
Botox.
that.
Wait,
Scrotox.
why don't you send me a
Scrotox.
picture? It could be something really nice. Why don't you send me
Really?
a picture? Yeah, could be like.
Well, I'm gonna kill
Maybe
him
we should just
regardless.
go over there. They have a
it
new
could-
puppy I
it
want to
could-
see
no,
anyway.
It could be like Cecropia moths.
Oh,
or
yes, they
something.
do.
Could be
I think
something
we should
good.
just make
Yeah,
a field
send me
trip over
picture.
there to.
Chris, tell us about your new dog.
Yes, new dog, like having
He's so
a
cute.
child,
Yeah.
2 months old,
What
French
kind?
bulldog.
Oh, I love those.
I
My name is Bo, and
It's like
the
Doc
good news
Gray.
is that my other dog is getting along very nicely with
Oh,
the
yeah.
puppy. That was one of our biggest concerns.
How old is your other dog?
4 or 5.
4 or 5?
Yeah. So no, it's
Everyone
it's
gets
good fun.
along with French bulldogs except Joey.
Except for Joe.
I love your
That's
dog.
fine.
What are you talking about?
Joe doesn't like dogs.
So
period.
Joe, you have
Like
to
any
explain to your
animals.
listeners what happened in your life
Yeah.
where you are so afraid of dogs. I mean, like
All right, there's
deathly afraid.
two different things.
Okay, please reveal.
When I was a grade schooler, we walked to the bus stop. Unlike kids today, that everybody they get driven
They take an
from.
Uber.
They have delivery. They either get
Yeah, they have
delivered
atrophy.
to to the bus stop, and the parents wait until they get
It's
on the
because
bus.
you can't trust
In
society
certain
today.
parts
That's
of the
the
or
country,
they
that's
dri- or
the
they drive
only
them all the
safe
way to
for
school.
children.
That's
Well,
right.
Well,
In Atlanta, kids can't walk around.
back
Too
then,
many predators.
Kids
Well-
around here walk to the bus stop. In East Gloucester, they walk to the bus stop. In our neighborhood.
some do. So back in the day, I used to walk, and we had a neighbor at the end of our street that had dogs, and the dog would chase me every single day,
Oh, that's terrible.
and I'd be horrified.
Did
That's
he ever
one.
fight you?
No,
What kind of dog?
it was either a German Shepherd or a Doberman Pinscher.
Well, that's
Oh,
a big
geez.
dog to be
That's-
a
so
That's
the-
terrible.
He had two.
I-
One of
Yeah,
each.
what's reason 2?
So the number 2 was my father kind of was against dogs because when he was when my father was like a young child, like 11 years old, his uncle had a dog, and he was afraid of the dog, and the uncle used to make fun of him for being afraid of the dog, and the dog ended up biting my father. And he went home and he got his gun and he shot the dog in front of his uncle, so that because the uncle was making fun of him the whole time.
Jesus Christ.
He says, "You got to make."
That's how Jeffrey Dahmer started.
We might have to edit this out.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, the uncle was like not trying to help my father with the dog that was trying to bite him. And
Oh,
he,
no,
so,
that's not nice.
so he's like, "Yo, is this what my life is going to be? You're going to have the dog attacking me all the time, and I'm just supposed to sit here and let the dog attack me?"
Joe, thank you for sharing that because I know I've been insensitive.
Much more
to
disturbing than
fear
we
of
thought
dogs.
it would
Yeah,
be.
Yeah.
So-
I see it's
Wait,
deep.
how old were you when you
Sorry,
played t-ball? Like 6?
I didn't play t-ball. I played.
No, but just generally, are you 6 or 7? How old?
Yeah,
I don't know, but where you going with
No,
this?
like
So
4.
my
They
older
played
brother,
t-ball.
he's 3 years older than me, and he was on the little farm team or whatever you call it when he first started playing.
Farm team is
And
professional.
my mother and father saw me being carried across the field
The Paw Sox.
by a huge dog
Oh
by
my
by
God.
my shirt collar. The dog just had me, and I was probably 3 or 4.
Oh my God.
that's
And I fucking love dogs. So you need to
I want to know
find-
who was watching the 3-year-old while the dog was carrying it across the.
My parents would probably mix up a
The
cocktail.
dingo stole my baby.
Maybe the dingo ate your
I think
pipe.
my father was coaching the team. My mother was probably on a real estate call or something, and I was getting carried across right field in the by my shirt call that by this big dog.
Yeah.
I love dogs.
Was it a base hit or
Well,
a
that
double?
3 or 4 is pretty young. Like you to be chased every single
Yeah, but
day
where are the
by a
parents?
dog.
Where were your parents while you were being carried across the field?
They were cheering for the dog.
They were at the concession stand. It was Pizza Friday.
That's what they do in China, right?
Exactly.
They were in the stands drinking Camus.
No, it was
Why do you
Manischewitz.
say Camus?
My parents drank
Camus?
Manischewitz and had Fosse's Pizza every Friday
That's
night.
how, like, the famous
With the
Albert
squares,
Camus.
Fosse Pizza squares.
It's
Martini and Rossi.
CAMUS.
That's very
Man, it's
cute.
Why
Camus
don't
with
call
the
it
grapes on it.
Camus
Remember that
instead
bottle?
of Camus? Like the
Mike's the
author.
wine connoisseur.
What's that?
Like Albert Camus, the author.
I don't know. I only know Dr. Seuss.
You don't know Camus?
He's a French
And the
existentialist.
Dreyfus Affair,
So Kim,
Richard
It's
Dreyfuss.
not pronounced.
tell us about the plovers.
Dreyfus.
Richard
Jacques-
Dreyfuss?
So the
Jacques-
plovers are in
Richard
about a
Dreyfuss
week
from
or
Jaws?
so.
You
We
talking
should
about
start
summer
looking for
movies?
The
hatchlings.
Dreyfus Affair. in
The
19th
plovers.
century France.
The plovers is what's going on with the plovers?
The plovers are nesting, and I'd say in about 10 days to 14 days we should start looking for babies. So,
Release
That's
the
when I
hounds.
bring- That's when I bring out my dog.
How many eggs
Go
are
get
left?
'em.
How many?
there's 4 eggs. There's 4 eggs.
So there's potential for 4 plovers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's it?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're delicious.
Yeah.
Isn't this the critical part?
Assuming
Like
they
they made,
size
you
is
had
fine.
eggs last year, right?
So yeah, we had eggs, and then
Yeah,
they
we-
hatched in the parking lot,
triplets.
and
Siamese
the
twins.
the mama and the papa got the hatchlings all the way across the parking lot through the dunes back down to the beach, and then we lost them after they were hatched. So
How many
this-
days after they were hatched did they survive?
The first 3 died within the first week. One was taken by a gull, one was taken by a crow, and one disappeared after a skirmish with a dog in the exclosure in the area where they nest. And then the second one made it for about 15 days, I think 15 or 16 days. And he also, the whole family disappeared. So there was like a big bonfire and party in the nesting area where they like to sleep at night. So we don't know what happened. You'll never actually see
We'll never know.
a dog eat a
Like
plover,
Amelia
but
Earhart.
they'll disappear after having an encounter.
It's the seagulls.
Yeah, it's they sometimes they're
Seagulls. You should see the stuff that the seagulls eat.
the
They
sea-
eat everything.
The seagulls are very bad. We see them, I have film footage of one taking one away.
Yeah,
you
we
know.
were at the studio last night and we're eating, and they came down and they land on the table. They started eating the food right on the table.
It's hopefully the restaurants will just get control of that because
bold.
it is illegal.
They
now to
name.
eat
They have a
them.
name for
Were
it.
you
Yeah.
eating outside or
Yeah.
they were inside?
It's a
Yeah.
$300
So,
fine.
his
It
name
was
is-
so cold.
His name is Steven. Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal.
So
How
it's,
could you
so
eat
it's a
outside
critical
because it was
time.
so cold?
It is a critical
It's a
time.
$300 fine to feed a
they're
seagull?
fairly safe right now in the wire because they're in a wire
$300 fine
exposure
for
right
what?
now.
Feed a
But
seagull?
once
Don't they go down to the
Honestly?
water?
yeah, but
I thought
once
you just
once
said
they
that.
hatch, they're mobile within a
To
few
feed a plover?
hours.
Okay.
And they leave
Anything.
the wire exposure, and then they start running around
Just
on the beach.
feed a seagull.
And so they're as big as a little marshmallow.
Yeah.
I'll put a link up to it. But Deborah Kramer wrote a very nice article,
Oh, Jesus.
and it was published in
Look at what Mike
National
did this
Audubon,
morning.
which is a very prestigious,
Very prestigious.
publication. So I'll put a link up to that article because she wrote one for the.
Did you say there's a fine for feeding seagulls?
Yeah, $300.
Really?
Yeah.
To feed it anything?
To feed all wildlife, supposedly, but they're trying to focus on the seagulls and the.
Did they
And the
ever
crows.
enforce it?
Well, they just made this law. The ordinance just changed April 1st. So.
But who feeds seagulls to begin with?
Well, like
People
when you
feed
throw
them-
French fries.
People feed them all the time.
Apparently
What if you
Christos.
feed them inadvertently?
They
If you feed
eat whatever they want.
won't do anything,
Yeah, but like newbie kind of people that like don't aren't like beach people, and they're from out of town.
Oh, they
have
throw a
this-
sandwich.
Oh, look, it's cute. The seagulls eat. Yeah.
I remember one time when my children were younger, we brought a couple of their friends to the beach, and one of my friend's sons, Brian, was lying on his stomach, and my wife hands him a sandwich, and he's lying on his stomach, and he's eating the sandwich as he's looking at the ocean, and the seagull came right over his head, took the sandwich right out of his.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
It was a good sandwich.
One time,
I like the stuffed peppers.
when my kids were really
stuffed
little,
peppers.
we
Oh,
were
I
on.
got my
We were
mind
at
right.
Seagull ate my
Cities
stuffed pepper. I
and
killed
we
it.
had,
I
and we
will
lived
admit
in
that.
Boston at the time,
I
and I
promise.
had this old Volvo that had like
I'm going to
250,000
pizza
miles
school
on
in a
it,
few
and
weeks.
it only had one
Where?
key.
For me
And
to make
I had
a
put
pizza.
I
I
do
put
too.
the key
King
in the
Arthur,
sandwich
Peter
bag,
Reinhardt.
and
Oh, no.
the seagull came.
Oh my
Peter
god.
Reinhardt.
We were
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah,
took
yeah.
the bag,
Peter
flew with it out over the ocean, and dropped it in the ocean. And so I said to the kids, and Liv was like 6 years old, and Alex was like 1.5. I said, you have to watch Alex. And I swam out and got
You got it?
got the
Oh, that's impressive.
I only had one key.
No, I know that's
The
impressive.
only good thing
We didn't
about
have
seagulls,
AAA or anything like that.
seagulls is when they shit on you, it's good luck.
I've
So
heard
we
that.
need seagulls in our
Are
life.
you kidding?
It's good luck.
Says who?
Did you know that seagulls are
They're in the
It's true.
dictionary.
No,
It's
it's
true.
not true.
seagulls are actually
I've-
protected under the migratory bird species?
Honestly?
Yes. So I mean,
I
you
have
you
seen
have to
seals flying.
You have
Seals?
seals.
Such a dick. Oh my god. I was just want to do a public service announcement for anyone struggling with an old Android phone.
Here we go with the phone again. Oh my god.
I want to hear what you have to say. I
Chris,
haven't
when I
heard it.
first
Do you
walked
like
in
your
here,
new
I
phone?
I
did
want to
miss
talk
you.
about my new toaster.
So-
Over there.
so-
Do this.
I didn't say
You
anything.
have an iPhone now.
So I have a new iPhone. Just
And
got a new
what
iPhone.
number is it?
It's a XS Max. It's called
I think the X stands for 10.
10. Yeah,
I think
10s.
they say 10.
10s.
Instead of
I know.
X.
Sorry,
Did you get the triple X one?
they didn't have that one yet.
Like preloaded
expected.
photos, videos.
Pre-populated with all your information.
No, you're porn.
Okay.
So, so this is what I'd have to say. So my experience a weekend, it is incredibly smooth. So I was having a lot of glitchy problems. My Android phone was 3 years old, and I was having problems. I think that it should be. I think that Apple. I think that there should be some type of antitrust or some type of thing that. So, the messaging system with Apple, people that can communicate iMessage.
Yeah,
None of that works with Android users,
right.
and so it screws up any of your
Anyway.
group chats. If you do any amount of group chat with a bunch of people, it screws everything up.
No, you can do
BlackBerry used to
WhatsApp.
have the same thing called BlackBerry
Oh, yeah, the
Messenger,
WhatsApp.
BBM.
Why
Yeah,
don't
but-
you do WhatsApp?
Because no one wants to. So no Apple user wants to download WhatsApp because they don't have to. Because
All right, look at my phone. I have both of them.
I have
an
it. I have
iPhone.
WhatsApp.
Listen, I had it too, but all it takes is one person to not be in that
Yeah.
to have it, and then it's useless because you're trying to communicate to a group. So you have to force
I
people.
think if they're not willing to go to that trouble to communicate with you as their friend, they're not the kind of friend you hope them to be.
Well, I did leave you off of a
'Cause I
group
have
text
both
one
those
time. I
apps
was
on my
traveling.
iPhone.
I was flying. I'm like, oh, Joey can only get this.
And
No,
If it's over cellular.
Right.
He can't get a Wi-Fi message.
Well, there was just a whole. It was a ton of.
Yeah.
It was a ton of glitchy things. So my experience with it so far. So one other thing that I was worried about, I have not even been close to running out of a battery for a whole day.
Oh, okay.
So the
great.
battery was one of my concerns,
Yeah, and
and now it's not. It's not a concern.
Okay.
The stock Apple phone for a photographer is nowhere near as feature rich as stock Android.
Really?
Why you just
Camera
get a
app.
camera?
Okay, I understand that you're all about defending Apple to the hill, but I'm pointing out the pros and the
just come back
cons.
from China.
That
pros
was very
and
aggressive, Joe. Just
No, no, no. So, but I'm gonna.
First
But,
day back, and
No.
But hold
all
on.
over it,
She
Joe.
comes bearing gifts too.
So-
Body blow.
but there are workarounds.
Knock him out. Knock him out.
For very little amounts of money.
Left
Hook.
For like $6, there's an app called Camera Plus for Apple phones,
Right.
which gives you all of the manual control that you have
have
with
on
it.
the
With
Android.
it.
How much is it, did he say?
It's like $5.99.
Oh, that's good.
on
One time?
Camera Plus.
One time.
Non
One time.
clearance.
One time. It's really a fantastic camera app. I would
Really?
highly
What's the name of it?
camera.
Camera Pro.
I'm sorry, Pro Camera.
Pro.
Pro Camera.
Pro Camera. It's excellent.
Right.
So that's the
Maybe-
only downfall, and if you can call it that, and
Right.
it's a $6
Fix.
fix, is that the messaging has been really smooth. My sharing, the other thing that I was really concerned about was being able to share like seamlessly from photos to blog.
Right.
That's a non-factor.
It is good.
It's a non-factor.
Good.
So
Great.
I'm
Good.
very
I'm
happy.
very
If,
happy. Yeah, I'm glad you're happy with it because
if you're an Android user, I would not hesitate
Hesitate
to
to make the switch.
make the switch. As
so
a,
are they comparable in price?
no, there's the Apple phone is twice as much as
Oh, really? As Android?
as
All I
Android.
think there was Samsung was over $1,000. The Samsung.
Yeah, the
Galaxy
Samsung Galaxy 10,
And by the way,
Is-
Joe,
is
it's
it the-
$7.99, not $5.99.
Ah, forget it.
the XS Max with 256 gigabytes of memory. Check it out.
He's talking about
Look
Oh,
the
the
app.
Pro camera.
Oh, $7.99.
Yeah, high-end
Sorry.
photos.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I
Sorry.
need to buy it.
I never
No,
said
probably
that
not
right now.
because you're not going to get into the manual things anyway. You guys
Oh,
just got to
it's
take everything on
Oh,
automatic.
one more thing
and-
about China, there's like hardly any internet sites you'd want to go to there. So if anyone's going, you've got to download a VPN app on your phone, Virtual Private Network. And what it does, it routes your internet through places where we have freedom.
Really?
Yeah, like Canada,
Wow.
U.S.,
Yeah.
Western Europe.
That's interesting.
And all your internet has to come to you in China through there, or you can't even get your email if you have a Gmail
Wow.
account. There's no Google.
Can
there's
you get
no
in trouble for that?
Facebook,
Can you
not
get-
at all. But the hotels got it. The fancy hotels used to have VPN for their guests on their Wi-Fi, and a year or two ago they had to get rid of it because there was a big crackdown by the government. I had 2 different VPNs on my phone. I was fully armed when I went to China.
Wow. So they wouldn't spy on you.
No, so I could get access
Get
to
access.
websites.
Yeah.
It's like-
That's pretty wild. All right, there we go. GloucesterCast 336 is in the books. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks for the Queen of Wands. Thanks for the socks.
you got
SOCKS.